Good, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for the intro and thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here as part of the Global Big Data Conference. And really, I was thinking about a topic that would be most relevant to where I'm seeing AI be for enterprises and companies. And really, I'm thinking of that team who's already started down the ML journey and is looking to do more. I'm going to share some thoughts in the next 25 minutes or so, talking about how to simplify and mostly accelerate that AI movement for everyone on the team and for the company. Just one word of caution, if you may. This is what the weather is looking like where I am. So if you hear some thunder, if you hear some lightning, you know where it's coming from. Okay, so maybe first I'll talk about why. Why am I thinking about this acceleration? Why you should be considering how you do more and what aspects would lead you to do that. So interesting survey here I took out from IDC. And the question asked is, what kind of business impact do you think ML can make for your business? Now, notable and important, this is a large survey, but happened back in March 2020. So a little bit of pre-COVID, but right where I think a lot of the impact happened. We're actually seeing these trends accelerate since, and you're hearing users of AI saying, well, we believe, about half of them on all of these things, well, we believe we can drive a better customer experience. And we believe we can improve our employee productivity. And hey, we believe that at the basis, we can accelerate innovation using machine learning. So lots of good reasons and lots of pretty strong belief on why you would use and leverage machine learning and why you would even try to accelerate those efforts. And this is also an interesting view. I'd say we've been on this, within Microsoft, on this path of AI for a few decades. And that's not the general stance where most companies are. So not most companies have been into AI for multiple decades. What's interesting and happening in the past 2 to 3 years is this view where you see applications for churn analytics in marketing or lead scoring in sales, naturally virtual assistants for services, risk management and demand forecasting for finance and operations, and even applications for your workforce like HR insights, all relying on the need for ML, all being based on machine learning. So it's not only about the impact you could possibly make, it's also about those areas, those applications, and those parts of the business where ML is already providing a differentiation for your company. So lots going on, and the question is, well, how do you do more? How do you push for more? And again, just to give some context, I'm assuming, and even if you're not, the work to understand that the people on this call are already building models. The people on this call already have some teams and resources in place allocated to machine learning. And the people on this call are looking to capture more value from machine learning than they are today. Now, if you're not here, the assumption is, yes, you'll get through this getting started phase and you'll quickly get to this situation. And I think many of us, once we hit this situation, and I see this with a lot of people using ML, feel a bit overwhelmed, a lot of questions come up. Well, how do we scale this? How do we accelerate this? How do we take the assumptions we started with and extend them to more? And as it comes to assumptions, I'm looking at things that are key factors within the world of artificial intelligence and key factors for anyone who's building machine learning models. I'm going to talk through, or quickly scan, I should say, factors and starting points that relate to people, resources, and trust, and give some ideas on how you, in the context of what you're doing, can open up and try to do more and accelerate your program. First and foremost, I'll start with the people. At the heart of every naturally software program, let alone a machine learning program, there's the set of people who are building it, there's the set of people who are developing, there's a set of people who are thinking about the customer scenarios and how we serve them. And many times you'll find yourself, and you may be in this situation where this has been your assumption. Well, we'll have a data science team and they're gonna help out with all of this and maybe even do most of what we want to do for machine learning. And again, it's a good start. It's a good place to start. It's a good place to even extend after you get started. But then the question is, well, how do I accelerate this? Because if the plan is, hey, we're just going to hire more data scientists as we want to hit more of the kinds of applications and create the kind of impact I talked about earlier, that, as you all know, and you are probably feeling that pain, is not a plan that can scale. Actually, in the context of people, what you want to think about in the context of your program is how do you further extend the type of people who build machine learning? I gave a few examples here, looking into data engineers and BI analysts. How do you provide machine learning capabilities for all skill levels, for people who know the data inside out, for people who are really deep into the data science but are not code first users? And how do you provide first the proper tooling for everyone and the proper services for everyone? While you do that, how do you avoid silos and fragmentation? How do you make sure that the teams don't go into different directions? And what you really want to do is also facilitate the communication between all those personas. And what you need to think about is not necessarily how do I hire the next data scientist, very important, and continue to push on that front, but actually start thinking about, well, how do I rapidly create models using a wide array of algorithms? You extend to more types of users, you provide additional tools, and now you're able to rapidly create, rapidly experiment, which is really at the heart of creating more value. So again, take it from the core of data science you may have already built in your team and see how you extend to more and more people using different capabilities. So now we have more people not only thinking about ML, but empowered to do so and talk to each other. Next question is resources. And I'll talk about a few here and touch on a few aspects where, again, where you want to accelerate, you got to be thinking about these things. So if this is your plan for GPU support, it's a desktop under someone's desk, actually quite a strong machine, this one, it will only get you so far. And it's very much a starting point for a lot of these users. As you think about resources, again, think of a continuum. What you can build locally, is it the local machines people are using? Is it a local compute cluster you're building? Could be a local K8 cluster that multiple users can use. And what's your plan in terms of extending that to a cloud solution or a multi-cloud solution? So at the end of this, what I want to highlight is I see a lot of customers are accelerating their AI programs using multiple clouds and using multiple local options to provide compute firepower and also to provide access to data. So these resources are really there to help you access your data and also help use the compute firepower. What you need to think about, again, in the context of your program is where you are today, which one of those horizons you want to start pushing on and start pushing in that direction. As you may extend to a cloud vendor or you may extend your local compute capabilities, keep in mind that the idea is to keep them connected. The idea, again, you don't want to create these silos. You want to continually extend this so you can open up to more AI, but at the same time, keep them connected. Similar place where you may find yourself is, hey, we're a great, and I'm just using this as an example, we're a great PyTorch shop. And we're actually enabling our data scientists and now other users to use PyTorch for ML. But as you well know, there is a lot more there in terms of deep learning frameworks, TensorFlow, scikit-learn, and others here on the slide, just a few to be mentioned. And in today's world, the ability to marry these frameworks with a set of hardware, whether it's provided by Intel or NVIDIA or Qualcomm, and using abstractions like the Onyx runtime to allow a good connection of deep learning frameworks and these hardware solutions are very much available. So again, lots of detail on this one, and once you start digging into it, you're going to learn what the right combination is for you. But I think that the thinking here is if you're looking to accelerate, you want to make sure your message does not look like this to your team. You want to make sure that your plan for driving all these business applications is not limited here, but rather opens up to these deeper and larger frameworks. So again, thinking how to break through people, thinking how to break through resources. Last thing you really want to start establishing as you start accelerating this program is the trust factor. Now, a lot has been said about doing AI responsibly, and a lot is still being developed in this area. A very interesting framework we use, and I've seen applied to multiple customers, is this three-pronged framework around understanding, controlling, and protecting your assets. Understanding is all about putting tools and capabilities out there. There's great open source tools for this, great open source capabilities for this. There's also great tools and applications from vendors for this to better understand what your models are about. As you create more and more models, they need to better understand what they do, which features matter, what they push on, are they fair or not? Are they delivering a bias due to the training data or not? That need would become more and more pressing over time. So first thing you want to do is make sure you understand. If there's one thing you do in the trust area, you want to extend your ability to understand what kind of models you're creating in the organization. Then there's two more chapters to it. One is around control. How am I able to audit the processes I have? How do I able to provide the right metadata using data sheets to the data I'm using? So how am I able to control what I do? And at the end of the day, as these models deploy into production, how do I make sure they're protected from malicious attacks, or they're protected from the wrong usage? So again, a lot of deeper sessions, even in this conference around responsible AI, touch on the different tactics. But as you think about, hey, how are we going to accelerate our program? Again, three things. Look at the type of people you're empowering and how we get more and more people into the fold. Look at what resources you put at their hand and what's your plan to extend those, and then build a layer of trust that continues to grow with the program. Now, once you start pushing through those barriers, if you may, or those challenges, if you may, you're getting into this mode within your organization where, whoa, there's a lot actually going on. And what you'll see, which is not always great, is that while there's a lot of invention and innovation, there's also a lot of patterns that can be recognized, a lot of learnings that can be set, and a lot of learnings that can be avoided for every team to take on. And it really puts you in a position where you want to look around the organization and say, okay, what patterns did we recognize? What kind of frameworks can we give people on the team to start leaning on? So again, recall the use cases and applications using ML today. I've been actively looking at a lot of customers who build different applications, who run a lot of analytics workloads, and sort of trying to suss out a pattern, looking really at two main patterns. So now there's a lot of activity going on. Where is it going? Well, one I'd call is around augmenting analytics with ML. Probably the organization you're in has a good set of data, probably has a lot of understanding and usage of that data. How do we build on top of that and use machine learning to drive that even further? The other one is the organization has a need to create more applications and solutions for your end customers. Those solutions, often to be differentiated and to be impactful to customers, will require ML-powered features. How do we get there? So I'll spend the next 5 minutes or so talking through those two patterns. First, around augmenting analytics. So again, think of someone who wants to do inventory forecasting. All the data is there, but we want to apply machine learning and run forecasting. The same thing could happen not just for inventory, but for your whole supply chain. Think of someone who's looking to optimize their campaign. This could be an ad campaign. This could be any marketing campaign. How do we drive that optimization? So again, all the data is there in our systems, but how do we apply ML to that? And the last one is, as an example for this is, well, someone's running loan processing and has to augment the insights they have on the loan, on the people who want to take the loan. How do we further enhance that? So at a high level, you'd want to think of 3 items here. One, and this brings me back to the need to extend this to, the need to extend the machine learning program to more and more people in their organizations. Because you could see, it's not only about the data scientists. The data engineers are going to need to lean in here. And the big data and data warehousing solutions are definitely a part of this. Frankly, they're at the base of driving this program. And then the data scientists are able to build, train, and deploy models based on that data. And at the end of the day, since you're really augmenting analytics, you want to make sure that the visualization capabilities that you have in the organizations are also tied into that, because they're your real delivery mechanism for all of this. So, you know, there's a few icons here that are examples of systems you may be using for that or could use for that, but they're also more symbolic of, hey, for a data engineer, regardless of your big data warehouse or your big data solution, same thing for data scientists, regardless of your solution for building and training and deploying models, and regardless of how you visualize, those need to work in concert in order to augment analytics. So I think first and foremost, you got to think, why am I doing this? Does it map to a pattern? And if it maps to a pattern, these are the people and systems you want to bring in to start solving that problem. And a great example of that, and you can read more about it in this link. I'm sure this deck will become available for everyone later. Kara team was looking to open additional retail locations. And you really want to get this right? You want the stores to exceed the revenue plans. And again, by using their rich analytics, by using insights they already have, and by augmenting that with capabilities from their machine learning team, this team was able to achieve a whole lot more of best performing stores in the districts they chose. So again, that would be one pattern where a lot of the use cases map into. The other one, super interesting as well, is I'm building a new app. I'm building a new feature in an existing app. This could be, again, a few examples I pulled in here. Could be about autonomous driving. That's quite a large app to build, to be honest, but I think a good example where you see a lot of ML powered, and I'm sure people can relate to, but it's not always as relevant to their day-to-day. Fish farm monitoring is an example I'll talk more about later, but you can think about them generally monitoring solutions, whether I have a farm, whether I have a wind farm, whether I have a fish farm, whether I have another facility I want to monitor. Definitely that would require an ML-powered app. predictive maintenance, an app that allows me to predict when maintenance would be needed and save time and money. Again, a great example we have is around sustainable farming and a set of applications customers build for that. So again, now it's a little different. I want to use that ML or that accelerated ML capability I just put in the organization, but it's not about taking my data and enhancing it, but rather building an ML-powered app. For this pattern, you really want to consider these layers. Well, first and foremost, you want to consider your users. You want to be sure that you're serving the use cases and needs they have. But then those needs typically map to that serving layer. Again, a few recommendations here, how you build that user interface, what business logic you put in place, and again, what data and systems of records you're going to build this on. So again, machine learning here at the heart of the system, but this is a pattern you'll often see. The last thing you want to do is have every team sort of think, well, we're done with the model now, how do we get this into the application? You'd rather want to have a more patronized view of, hey, if you're building an ML-powered app, if you're building a feature for an existing app that's powered by ML, you want to ensure you have the proper blueprint and repeatable process. Again, one that fits your organization and one that aligns with the quality, accuracy, and customer promise you're making in terms of what you're delivering. Again, I'll finish off with one more example, this one from APP, which I mentioned earlier. Again, reading the full story, I'm clicking this link will allow you to read the full story. This one at the basis is creating a new solution for their customers. Their customers wanted help in maintaining commitment to a food future. So, I mean, great cause and great to see them do this. But at the end of the day, again, similar pattern. There's a set of ML models powering the features their users need. Those ML models are then built into that pattern and served to users. Okay, so we're just about at the time. So in summary, I think 3 things to think about as you want to accelerate your program. See where you are in terms of which people you're empowered, which resources you've put in place and made available, and how much can you trust the system you've put in place once it accelerates. I touched on a few dimensions. Those dimensions would apply differently in different organizations, but definitely sort of at the high level dimensions to think about. Once you got the accelerated machine going, once you got through those bottlenecks, or as you do that, really try to find, okay, for every use case I build for every model I build for, which pattern does it fit into? Is it going into an ML-powered app? Good, we got a blueprint for that. Is it going to augmenting your analytics with ML? Good, we got a blueprint for that. And I realize, actually that's what makes what I do quite exciting. There's more patterns that would come up as you work within your organization. So I think I see enterprises end up with 2, maybe 5 patterns they typically map to. There's always exceptions and other ideas, but having that kind of blueprint people can latch onto helps you, again, accelerate the program and meet the demand. And that's really going to come your way, especially if you're in the machine learning business. Okay, I think, again, we're just about at the time. I'm excited to maybe take a few questions if we have them.
Thank you, Mr. Erez Barak. Good presentation. You still have time. You still have about 3-4 minutes, but you can run over a few more minutes in addition to that, because the next presentation is at 12:10. Just for you to know. So if anything else you want to say, feel free, so that you are not restricted by time now.
To me, what I wanted to really everyone to keep in mind is that, especially as you build your machine learning program, I've touched on a few sets of, if you may, roadblocks or bottlenecks you may hit. The ideas I gave here, I've seen them generally applicable in many areas, but the way they're created and the way they're I'd say manifested in every organization is quite different. I'm also seeing this comment here, which I'm happy to see data engineer and analysts still given importance. Being analyst and data engineer myself, I can be rest assured that my job will not go extinct. I think I am not yet a data scientist. So I think we're seeing this trend of a lot more roles and a lot more types of background building ML. And those capabilities are now becoming more and more available, more and more widespread. So again, you don't, or my message is, hey, not about becoming a data scientist and that's the way you do ML, but rather within the work you're doing, whether you're a data engineer, whether you're an analyst, how do you get empowered to do ML and drive ML-driven programs as you do your job? I'm seeing actually a lot more of that trend happening with machine learning becoming accessible to more and more types of users, rather than saying, well, if you're not doing machine learning, you're going to have to find a different role. So that's definitely not where the trend or direction that I'm seeing is going.